Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to today's Esoteric Influences for the 18th day of June, 2020. Well, I guess that means we have a 6 energy for the month, a 9 energy for the day, and a 22 energy for the year. So with the 6, we're talking, let me get my tea. The cottonwood is just, it literally looks like it's snowing outside. Okay, that's what happens when cottonwood starts shedding the cotton. It's just awful, and it gets everywhere. My eyes last night were just totally swollen from it all. Because it gets in, because I was outside in it, working. So anyway, we'll try this again here. Uh, we have a 6 energy for the month, which is higher self. Excuse me. I'll work it out. and a 9 energy for the day, which is endings and completion. We also have Mercury in retrograde right now, so communication's going to be affected, maybe by the cottonwood. And so I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing unless my internet goes down right when I'm trying to upload a video. Then that's kind of a bummer. That kind of happened the last Mercury retrograde. Suddenly we had internet issues. Just out of the blue for just a short time. I had just uploaded like maybe, 20 minutes earlier, I think. Not long, and so it's like, oh my God, thank God I didn't have anything else to upload that day. But it was just a very short time, maybe about an hour or less, maybe, and it came back on. But that's the thing about Mercury retrograde. You might notice some miscommunication. Mail might be delayed. It's in Cancer, and Cancer's kind of family oriented. So you kind of like Cancerians like to be close to their families. And so you could have some miscommunication on that front right now during this time. I guess, frustration could occur. I don't know, delayed communications. But again, it's just the time where the other way to look at this is that out of miscommunication, some truth can come, right? Maybe it's indicating things were not particularly solid there to begin with, and a loosening of things sort of brings to light some issues that maybe you need, communication-wise anyway, that you need to deal with. Whatever the planet Mercury indicates, which is, it's the air element, it's intellect, it's reason, it's balance, it's justice. All of these things are being loosened right now during Mercury retrograde. So as the protests continue, and I'm sure that they will, for the foreseeable future, because things are not stopping with the police. We're still seeing all kinds of ridiculous things happening now. Hangings that are, they're just suicide. No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think that, again, this is what happens when you hear like the expression, the last vestiges of something are occurring, right? That's what we have right now. We have a loosening of all of this, and especially during this retrograde. And I think that you're going to find the definitions of things changing right now, or at least reestablishing them. If they've been out of whack, Mercury retrograde can really show all of that and get things back under order. So you see today, let's see what came out today. Oh yes, Supreme Court has ruled in favor of DACA for the Dreamers and against the current administration. So good thing there. That we've had a couple of things come out this week that reflect a better direction than what the administration is wanting to do to people, protecting people, LGBTQ people, some protections there at the workplace, I believe. Happens. So we're starting to see the reestablishment of the shared, the shared view of things, that we should be protecting people from being discriminated against, again, the Dreamers. It was a program so that my goodness. Does cruelty have to always be the point of this guy? I don't understand this guy. It's just insane. But in any event, with today's 9 energy, though, one phase may be ending and another could be beginning. Because generally speaking, when you have a 9 energy for a day, you sort of feel like, okay, I'm on the precipice, maybe like this is coming to an end. It's like a Degas moment. I'm on the precipice of something new. But things, even if it's just say a project that maybe has different phases, maybe one phase is coming to an end. So whatever this is for you, because it could manifest differently, obviously, for pretty much any one of us, but take stock of where you are now and where you intend to go. Anytime you have a 9 energy, that's sort of what you should be doing. It's like, okay, maybe something is coming to an end right now. Maybe I can let go of certain things. In the retrograde, we have, let's see, what else do we have in retrograde? We have Pluto in retrograde. Pluto's very transformative. We're talking about transforming our relationships right now and rebuilding them. If they've come apart a bit, we can reorder them and restructure them, maybe come back in the same way, but because maybe we simply lost focus there. Saturn's in retrograde for a little while longer, restructuring the foundations of our lives, vis-a-vis intimacy and group involvement. Jupiter in retrograde, interchange. Jupiter's expansive outwards, so whenever it's in retrograde, you can get really some expansive interchange going. Venus, almost done. I think it's almost done. I think Pallas is almost done. I'll have to look. I don't have that here up on my screen. But we're with Pallas, we're reassessing a fundamental understanding of our life, and we're embracing out of the box thinking. And so, I think that again, you can see how having now 6 planets in retrograde, we're really, Venus rethinking balance and harmony and partnerships, where we feel connected, how we feel connected. When you see this much, I mean, and this happens. It's not like it doesn't happen. It does. But the point is when you have so much, in the way I see it, is it really loosens things up so that change can happen. And I think that's what we're seeing now. It's becoming clear, with respect to the virus. Not wearing a mask sure seems to be stupid. Right? It just seems to be the stupid decision to make. And so I think that going forward, we're going to see some changes on that front as well. I know we're in one of the states where the spike has gotten, but it's never as much as everybody else, but that doesn't mean it won't be. But we've had enough of a spike right now that the governor's being a little more careful about reopening certain areas, either shifting people back to a different phase, or now that we're opening in Multnomah County, for example, it's just phase 1, things like that. So we're kind of taking our cues here, at least in this state, from what's happening, in terms of people's behavior and where they're going and how much of it is too close. And are we seeing spikes in the areas where people are coming together in too close of a context, okay? Too close of contact. So whether it's in the context of work or maybe a gathering or what have you, maybe as we see the effect of it, we start to maybe tweak it a little bit and see how we can maybe do this in a way that protects people even a little bit more. I suspect you're going to see grocery stores requiring masks at some point, because how else are we going to get through this, right? What is the thing? If like 80% of us all wore masks, we'd squash this thing. I don't know why we can't do that. But I think you're going to start to see some of that shift as more and more spikes come up, as more and more hospitals are saying, hey, we don't have the bed space. Because every time this happens, that's what happens, right? We lose bed space because obviously people are going to go in the hospital. So it's going to crash the system again. We're going to be right back to where we were, all because the President of the United States cannot say wear a mask when you're out and about around people. Just because he can't do that. I don't understand this. He could actually change the course of this, but oh no, not going to do that. Today's rune is Manaz. It looks like this. Well, I should have just taken it out and I didn't. Let me find it here. And I'll show you. It looks like an M with an X in the middle. It's like Ewaz, only again with an X in the middle. Here we go. This is Manaz. We're going to explode it out for you and show you what it means. Now, Manus is an earth element rune. It's about humanity, integrations, mind, body, spirit, or ego, ego, spirit, body, ego. That's, I guess, how we said we were going to say this. Spirit, body, ego connection, the individual within society, the thought rune, our collective memory, our shared experience together. Right, that's what this is about today. So here's what Manas has. It has 2 terminating ends with Isa, the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark. And no, they don't naturally lean to the left, only because that's how I drew it. You've got Gebo in the middle, balanced energy exchange. You have, when you terminate it with Isa, you've got Dagaz, which is a one phase ending and another beginning. Energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. We also have Laguz, forward and reversed, flow, change. Well, if I'd move my fingers, you could see that. And then we also have Vunyo, forward and reversed, which is fellowship and joy with others. So you see the 2 P's right there. And if that's not enough, we have Kenaz in all directions, outward. Complicated rune, talking about our shared purpose with one another and how we express ourselves in, I don't know, unified harmony. It's about self and society and how we navigate that and who we are. Are we going to be somebody who, again, balks at the idea and takes issue with the idea and views it as an unconstitutional act to require mask wearing during a pandemic? No, it's just common sense to do it. And because people aren't, that's why they have to mandate it. Again, we don't exist here alone. We exist here with everyone else, and everyone else is the other side of self. It's almost as if each one of us projects out the world we see, and they overlap, those projections overlap, and there the integrations can happen and the interactions can happen. And the alignments or lack thereof can happen. All right? But we populate it with the other side of self so that we can engage with others in a way that's meaningful and basically responds to the theme, the overall theme that we decide that we're going to have when we focus into form. Every time a piece of our soul, the oversoul, spits out another piece of us into a body in a particular, what we call a lifetime, this is what happens, you see. So we overlap. And when we are looking at everybody else as the enemy, maybe we should turn that around and see them as the other side of self, bless them for whatever message they have to teach us, and find a way to go forward together in shared purpose and harmony, because that's our fundamental reality in the non-physical, right? Again, we may have our own energy signatures, but we're one. We're one energy, one collective energy. So I think that when we talk about manas, that's what we're talking about. It's reminding us that although we may have some communication issues right now with one another during this retrograde and during all the rest of the time, the reality is that we're one. And that if we don't understand the self within that concept, we don't understand our purpose. And it isn't to split apart everything. It isn't to destroy everything. It isn't to destroy relationships. It isn't to harm other people. It's to understand the bigger picture and know we can't do that. I mean, to the point that we wouldn't want to. But things have devolved to the point where we don't understand that truth anymore. And that's why we have police attacking people. Primarily people of color. So, this is a scary time. No one knows what's going to happen. You need to call a policeman to your home. What's that going to look like at this point, right? We don't know. There's a time when we knew what to expect. We don't know that now. We don't know what to expect. So again, the loosening of things, lots of things in retrograde right now. And things are but the thing is, the other part of that that's being loosened is the deception. People aren't so able anymore to pull the wool over people's eyes anymore. People are paying attention now and watching for it. Not so willing to just go along and not really pay attention to the intuition that's telling you, hey, red flag, something's up, pay attention. Instead, we get comfortable in our lives and we forget to do that. Well, that's what's happening now. There's a loosening of that, and the hidden stuff is being revealed. In other words, people's true motives are being revealed, and the scams that are happening are in full view. So that's the other thing. Right now, the moon's in Taurus until 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we have one of those split energy days again. So Taurus, is going to want to be a little more, homebound, maybe wanting to take care of business, just a little more. My mother was a Taurus. She worked, but then when she was at home, she was taking care of things at home. And then when she was done, she'd relax. She would just, no, I'm going to relax. I'm done. I've worked all week. I've taken care of things. I've done I've done everything. I'm going to sit down now. I'm just going to sit down now. That's what she'd say. And she'd sit down at the dining room table. That was generally where she sat, was at the table. Sometimes she'd sit in the living room, but usually she'd sit at the table. And she would just sit there, and just, exist. She'd do nothing. And it's like she'd just shut down and be still for a while. And every Taurus I know, it does that. I don't know. A lot of them do it. I obviously don't know every Taurian in the world, but they all seem to do that. But anyway, but then you're going to see a shift in the afternoon where you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to start talking to people. So it's going to go into Gemini after 2 or at 2 o'clock p.m. or at 2:01 or something like that. As the moon transitions into chatty and social Gemini, you may notice your attention to detail waning a bit. You're not going to want to sit at the table like my mother did. You're just going to want to get up and do something. Arrive at a stopping point with whatever it is you're doing, even if it's just sitting, and then focus on what stimulates your intellect and share what you learn with others, obviously safely, online if you can, over the phone, over the Zoom, whatever you're doing here. If you're here's the thing. If right now, as spikes continue to pop up, it also means people are going to be quarantining again. If you've come into contact with somebody that you find is ill, then, there's another 14-day quarantine you might have to do. So just to be safe. And so I don't know. Things are you might, again, have to pull back your interactions with others to a safer distance to have that chatty Gemini experience today. Let's see, where am I at now? I've done the man-as, I've done the numerology. So I guess now we're down to the human design stuff for today. Again, if you want to follow along with this, the week's almost over, but you can look at it. This is over at the Esoteric Influences. I do them once a week. They post on Sundays for the whole week. And so if you want to go over to Stepping Aside, there'll be a link below the video, and you can go there and scroll down and look at it if you want to. There you can actually see the human design charts, because obviously I don't have them here. I could probably bring it up on my iPad and show it, but it's better if you just go there to imsteppingaside.com, scroll down a few posts, and there it'll be the Esoteric Influences for the week. And then you can see what this looks like. It's different. I mean, it's still round, the big one is, but the actual chart is a bunch of triangles, put together and hooked together, and with different gates, and that are actually correspond with each of the 64 human design, or not human design, but I Ching hexagrams. That's basically what human design is. It combines planetary positions with the I Ching, and it's just so cool. It's very, very prescient. I find it to be. I like it for describing. I like it right now anyway for describing the greater societal thing that's going on. It really seems to. I mean, you can draw it down to the personal, but at the same time, I think what's happening with it right now really applies so much to what's happening collectively to us. So let's take a look at today's for the 18th. With the sun, let's see, where the sun's in Earth's placement. The sun is at the I Ching hexagram called the pragmatist. The Earth is at the philanthropist. The pragmatist is a combination of the fifth line of the 12th hexagram. And the fifth line of the 11th hexagram is what results in the philanthropist from the I Ching. So we're going to experience another day where support is both offered and you're able to receive it as well. That's also Mars's placement today. In other words, we've talked about this before. Sometimes offering help feels funny to people. Sometimes the way we do it might be too pushy, and maybe someone else is reluctant to have it, but it seems like we're working some of that out right now. It's hard for people my age, and this has been true down the ages, you get to this point in your life and you're afraid to reach out to people. You don't want to be a bother. Perhaps your kids don't really talk to you much anymore. They're off doing their own thing, they're in their lives, and they forget they have parents. I mean, that still happens now. And so even during the COVID, you may be someone whose children have forgotten about you. And so it's just one of those things where older people won't necessarily reach out. They just won't. They don't want to be a bother. They don't want to be a burden. They already feel invisible in their families. And so they're darn sure not going to reach out now. Right? So you have to do that for them. And right now we've kind of been experiencing people are kind of at odds with that. And so, but I think that today maybe we're working a little bit more of that out, where people are maybe feeling a little more comfortable reaching out and saying, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while, and things like that. So again, stay connected. Again, be aware that communications could be interrupted or disturbed right now during Mercury's retrograde, but don't let that stop you from reaching out to people that maybe you haven't spoken to in a while, that maybe won't be the ones to reach out. Maybe they just don't feel like they can. All right. People that are also disabled suffer from the same experience. They don't, you're going to have to go to them, basically. So, and make sure that they're all okay today. So let that process play out, both on the giving and the receiving end of it. And you'll find that it'll really uplift you. It'll uplift both people. So it'll be a good thing. So anyhow, although dark forces continue the proselytization of oppression and injustice, that's the moon's placement right now, through recognition and directness, Uranus and Neptune, we're going to persevere until our shared goal is achieved. It's like the shades are all open, the windows are up, and the windows are all open, I should say, and the light is coming into every room. There's no more darkness anywhere. The deception and the delusion that we've all been expected to deal with for so long is now the light is being shined on all of it. That's kind of that whole experience. We've come to a point, I think, collectively, and that's what I mean about the human design chart for each day having such a profound resonance for the collective experience we're having. I think that it describes the fact that we've come this far and we're not going back. That a way has been opened now. That was always there, but we weren't in harmony enough. Evidently, the threshold hadn't been reached or something. But whatever's taking place, maybe it's the effect of the 22 year, but we're not willing at this point to stop in this progression to a better experience. And collectively, we can't watch any more of these police videos where police are kicking and harming. We just found out yesterday that they literally stood there while Mr. Brooks died, preventing him from moving, kicking him, standing on his shoulders. I don't, Mercury retrograde, I don't even know what to say. It gives people such pause to know that this is what's happening, that this is what our taxpayer dollars are paying for, the murder of people. He just wanted to go home, wanted to go to his sister's house. He was going to head there. And look what they did. Look what they did. Yeah. So the dam's open. The light's filling the room. We're not going backward now. We're not staying in this same position. We're going to move forward together. We're going to fix this stuff. And we're going to come out on the other side of it in such a better place. So the people that want to stand in our way, well, I wouldn't do that. Oh no. Because you're going to be left in the dust. We're going to walk right around you like you're not even there. Because really, they aren't anymore, are they? Their effect is over. And no matter what they want now, it's not going to work. So we're seeing Supreme Court decisions that are protecting people now. I don't know why that's happening. I certainly wouldn't have expected it with the balance of the court, but I'll take it, won't you? We had clarity before, and then it all went away. But you see, life bends towards spirit, and we're going to have that back. It's a 22-year. The soul will insist upon it. So anyway, I'm going to close out, going to start the reading. So I hope you tune in, excuse me, assuming I can speak. I don't know. Literally, the cottonwood, it's like it's snowing out there. I don't think I can go outside today. Because at some point, my eyes are going to be weeping and I'm not going to be able to speak. So anyway. But I'm going to go try and do somewhat daily tarot and rune. It is the last day of it for the week. I just do it Monday through Thursday. So I'm going to do it, I swear. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. And have a wonderful day, though. If you don't, just have a great day. And, again, understand that Mercury has stationed retrograde and things might be a little loosey-goosey communication-wise. So just stay true to your purpose. Wear a mask. Thank you very much. And maybe we should change it. It was like, remember at Kmart, it was always, thank you for shopping our Kmart, right? Well, thank you for wearing a mask. And be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.